Good morning. Today we are going to take a look at some of the different types of biomes. We have been over the different parts of biomes and what a biome is. So today we're going to review some of the types of biomes. So the first one is grasslands. Grass grows easily in this biome, but there is not enough rainfall to support trees. There is more rain than in a desert, but it may be irregular or absent for long periods of time. The grass is usually golden brown. When the rain comes, it turns green and blooms. Prairies and steppes are found in temperate zones. Savannas are found in tropical zones. Large numbers of animals graze here and live in herds for protection. Smaller animals burrow in the ground for shelter. Grasslands. I'm gonna sit down. My hands are shaking. Trying to be as still as possible. Okay, so here we have the oceans. Most of the water on the planet is contained here. It covers 71% of the surface of the earth. That's a lot. There are warm and cold currents that affect the temperature of the water. Sunlight filters down into all but the deepest parts. The salt water is full of minerals that feeds microscopic plant life called plankton. Plankton is an important part of the food chain because many different animals eat it. The richest marine life is found in the shallow water near the continents. We have deserts. This biome is a very difficult place for plants and animals to survive. The soil is sandy or rocky. The climate is dry with very little rainfall falling each year, less than 10 inches. When it does rain, it evaporates quickly or sinks into the sand. There is very little plant life, and the plants must be able to store water for long periods of drought. Animals must also be able to survive long periods without water. Most animals live in burrows for protection. Bless you. Most animals live in burrows for protection from the heat during the day. They come out at night to feed. That one is deserts. Next, we have temperate forests. These forested areas have seasons. Many birds migrate in the winter while mammals, amphibians, and reptiles hibernate. Deciduous trees shed their leaves in the fall, and conifers stay green through the winter. Both kinds of trees grow in areas that have plenty of rainfall to support their large size. The deciduous forest supports a variety of hardwood trees and an undergrowth of smaller plants. Many different animals find shelter and food here. The coniferous forest has less animal life and little undergrowth. Mountains. High altitude causes this place to be cold most of the time. In the highest places, the snow never melts. The wind is strong and the summer is short. Usually, one side of a mountain range gets a lot of rainfall. As the wind pushes the rain clouds up the slopes, the water vapor condenses and rain falls. The other side of the mountain range is usually very dry. This biome is rocky with small pockets of soil for plants to grow in. Animals that survive must be able to stand the cold and move over steep and rocky slopes. Yeah, like a mountain lion or a mountain goat. All right, next is wetlands. This land is covered in water seasonally or year-round and supports plants that live in water. Rainfall is usually abundant in this biome. Sediment builds up and changes the landscape over time. There may be trees growing out of the water, but usually it is mostly grasses. A wetland of trees is called a swamp, and one of grasses is called a marsh. In colder areas, bogs are made up of mosses. The water can be saltwater or freshwater. Wetlands are an important biome that helps purify water. Next, we have tropical forests. In the tropical rainforest, there is a constant humid climate with much rainfall. More plants and animals are found here than in any other biomes. New species are discovered all the time. The tropical rainforest is quickly disappearing due to logging and clearing for farming. The rainforest cannot be restored because of the poor soil. The rainforests are very important because they take in huge amounts of carbon dioxide and give off oxygen. Another kind of tropical forest has a dry season when trees lose their leaves. And lastly, we have polar regions. Both the Arctic and the Antarctic have long, bitter cold winters. There is little or no daylight for months. The ground is frozen permanently and icebergs are found in coastal waters. The amount of precipitation is similar to a desert. It might not seem that way, but the water is frozen as ice or snow. It cannot seep into the frozen soil. The summers are cool with long daylight hours. Plants come alive for a short season to seed themselves. Mammals, birds, and insects migrate or wake up from hibernation. So, there you have the examples of the types of biomes. Now, I'm going to move these aside. And as I do so, I would like you to do, you have a couple of options of what I'd like you to do as a follow-up for this lesson. I know there were a lot of words in those descriptions that you might not have recognized. So I'd like you to make a list of words that you didn't recognize and look them up in the dictionary. I would also like you to choose one of the biomes and maybe draw a picture, or for the older students, do a little bit of research on what kind of plants and animals are in that type of biome, maybe what the weather is like, how much it rains, whatever you can find. Okay, so now I wanted to show you this book that I have. It's really cool. It goes over some plants and animals in different biomes. So this is the rainforest, which is a tropical forest. So it has some different things. There's the layers of the rainforest, different places. You see it in South Africa, and there's some in Africa and Asia and even Australia. Yep, the layers of the rainforest. Ooh. Different animals live in different layers. Okay. Ooh, this talks about how the rainforests are under a threat because of logging and land clearing. So if you want to pause this video so you can read a little bit more, feel free to do that. And then we have some more animals here that live in the rainforest. I'm excited for you guys to come back to school and look at this book more closely. Okay, here we have some ocean animals. And again, there's some layers of the ocean, which is cool. Different animals live in different layers. There are some ocean animals that are under threat too because of pollution, overfishing, and even because of climate change. Some interesting facts. And some animals that live in the ocean. What else do we have? Let's turn the page. We have the polar regions, different polar animals. And here are two polar regions. We have the Antarctic and then the Arctic up here, the white spots. Yeah.
And then the weather.
Mm-hmm. Different Antarctic conditions. Yeah. You know, I read somewhere, not sure if it's in this book or not, that polar bears and penguins are never in the same place. I wonder where I read that. I wonder if it was here. No? I don't know. One of them lives in the Arctic and the other one lives in the Antarctic, and so they never cross.
Penguins live
paths.
in the Antarctic. Polar bears live in the Arctic.
Well, there you go. All right. Now we have forest animals. So let's look at this map first. Here we have the temperate forest, which covers a lot. Actually, if you can see, I know this is Florida and North Carolina, somewhere up here. So we actually live in the temperate forest. Doesn't seem that way sometimes because of the buildings and the houses and everything. So these are some of the animals that live in the temperate forest. And then this, if you remember, there was the carnivorous forest. They talked a little bit about how that's a little bit different than the temperate forest. All right, I'm gonna turn the page. Ooh, we have the grasslands. There's our little map of the grasslands. What's in there? Ooh, so there's temperate grasslands and then there's tropical grasslands. Some of the animals that live here. So this one over here is the tropical grasslands. Maybe there's more rain there. Maybe it's warmer.
Hey.
Yep. Tallest mammal on Earth. And I believe that is it. So, thank you guys so much for listening to this. Now make sure to go back and find the words that you are going to look up in the dictionary and to decide which biome you are going to research further. Thank you.